Welcome to Breakfast Central. It's time for us to find out what stories are making the headlines today. And joining us for the analysis is Public Affairs Analyst Sesan Okunade. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, let's get into the papers this morning. Unfortunately, I'm sure it's not good news we have to share. Let's see what the Vanguard is saying. This morning on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, Tinubu, Wike rise against insecurity, vow renewed action. Interesting. We also have here buildings destroyed as explosion rocks parts of Ibadan. Federal government building fiscal resilience to reduce foreign borrowing, according to the finance minister. AFCON 2023, Nigerians should keep supporting us through Stekong begs. Palliatives funds, there's plot to link Baja, according to a source. We've all been seeing the updates on social media and the alleged involvement, but we don't have enough information on that yet. As we get more information, we'll be talking more about it. Supreme Court judgment, don't throw Nasarawa into crisis, according to the APC. And at the top of the paper, divestment, Shell reaches deal to sell onshore oil fields for $2.4 billion. NNPC should have privatized refineries before rehabilitation, and that's according to Atiku. 83 illegal refineries uncovered in 1 week. That's business as usual. Guess what? I used to hearing these updates. And the final story, I prepared myself for probe, according to Buhari. I think maybe we should start from that last one. Buhari says he prepared himself for probe. How come nobody's probing anything?
I think the anti-graft agency decided to pick on the reporting officer of each agencies that has worked under the Buhari administration. And if there is any indictment on the president, he might later be indicted. But I think what everybody has been saying is start from the head, because the word is always everything stops on the table of Mr. President. So there must have been an approval. But you know, the approach to it is there can be an approval for certain things to be done. The reporting officer for that ministry actually must carry out the implementation just as he has explained to the president. And I think that's why the anti-graft agency seems to first be dealing with some of the reporting officer. Take, for example, the one that happened with Beta Edo recently. I'm sure you know they said there's an approval for that particular funds, but was it to be disbursed to fellow colleagues, company, to carry out some of those things? So I think the approach is pick the reporting officer that are actually directly involved in the implementation of the funds being disbursed, because there must have been an approval. And I think that's why Mr. President on his own, the former president, he said, well, I'm prepared. Call me for the probe, then we'll get deep down into some of the things like that.
It would have been interesting if there was an actual probe into the NNPC. He was Minister for Petroleum. The NNPC, the CBN, the 23 trillion alleged printing of money. There's too many things, that he maybe could have asked questions, but I think Nigerians also don't expect that to have, would happen. Good luck, Jonathan also wasn't questioned, even with the, the stories of, corruption, that
we never really questioned.
Told.
We never really questioned past presidents. It's as if we assume that the immunity clause that protects them whilst in office protects them outside the office.
No, I don't want to think that. I want to believe that the anti-graft agency seems more to be concentrating on the subordinate rather than the head. And it should start from the head so that the head cannot fish out. When you look at it at the president, at the federal level and state level, most of the time they don't get the commissioners for state. They get the governor. And the governor goes and pick out the commissioners by telling them, okay, you have to accompany me, to this investigation because I've
but a lot of times we still see these governors being named. We never get to see, we don't, as often as possible get to see commissioner for this, commissioner for that, being invited by the EFCC. A lot of times it is the governor himself.
And that's why I'm saying that we expect the same at the federal level. But the anti-graft agency understand why they always pick on the reporting officers, which are the ministers, the DGs, rather than the president. I may not be able to speak small to it. That's why I said, look at those two things, head of the state and head of the government, which is president and governor. You invite the governor and not the commissioner. Right. But at the federal level, you invite the minister who reports to the president, and you don't invite the president. So why are we having that? I consider it.
Maybe we should actually now invite them to come and
give explanation where that is, because I feel that if you are inviting the minister, then when you come to the state, keep the governors to aside and invite the commissioners so that they give those things.
Quickly speak on the one that is boldly on the screen, the Tinubu and Wike rise against insecurity and vow renewed action. By the way, Tinubu, of course, rather, Nyesom Wike was dancing on Sunday, the morning after, this Nabia story became viral. President Tinubu's wife, the First Lady, put out, a letter on Twitter, or rather press release on Twitter, that seemed very, very insensitive also. And of course, that's the president there, of course, at the book launch while people are still in captivity. So quickly share your thoughts on the renewed action.
Yeah, well, I will always say when you are renewing something, there must be something that must have happened before now that you're actually renewing from the name. So when you say a renewed action or a renewed rejigging of this thing, I consider it that we've not even had anything that we can say it's working, that you are renewing. In terms of insecurity, it's been something that we've been hearing right from the time of Jonathan, escalated so much, and here we are. Nowhere is actually safe when you talked about if the seat of power in Abuja is really conspicuously, we're talking of insecurity where people go into the houses and pick individuals and kill young, innocent people for ransom. You can imagine what actually happened. They requested for 60 million and all of a sudden increased it to about over 700 million within the space of time because certain set of people are coming out to say, okay, we'll make the contribution. Yeah. And I keep asking, I've asked severally, what is the modality of paying some of this ransom? I'm sure it goes through accounts. Where is the NIN? Where are they flagged of that we do? When you go to banks, they will tell you that transactions above certain amount of money will be flagged. NDDC will run after you. The CBN will ask questions.
But sometimes they ask for cash. They insist on cash.
Even when they insist on cash, it's enough for you to trail individuals that are picking up those things and follow through. You see, you need to understand the pain we are making in a citizen to go through with the level of insecurity. People can no longer travel. Even the so-called Abuja, most people that have activities to do there around you better stay where you feel you are a bit safe or secure, rather than going to a strange place, all in the name of looking for money. And when those activities are not happening, how do you expect the economy to grow? I expect us to be more proactive, but most of the time, we are reactive to issues. It is when it has happened. And that's why most of the time we have advocated for, can we have community policing in such a way that we can hold the governors more accountable in terms of security? A governor knows what is going on, and you don't stop there. We can have community policing. If 3 of us are in the same estate, and we have about 10 occupants in our estate, which makes up a community. If you have an external person, I'm sure you know, for a very well-structured estate these days, there are also always databases. If you're exiting, if you're coming in, they want to know what you're doing, they interrogate you. If they are not safe with it, they draw the attention of the law enforcement agency. And I think that's the way we need to start, galvanizing if we want security to actually be addressed. We must start from the grassroots and devote the power from the central, where the CP needs to take instruction from Abuja as against the governor. I hope you remember something that happened at Magodo some time ago, where the governor was out there and they said there's an authority from Abuja giving them instruction of what to do in a state where the governor, presides over. All so right. I feel that, okay, you can imagine if there's something to destabilize the state, the governor has no control over it because somebody out there from Abuja. So I think, because I saw the current IGP, advocating for community policing while he was about to assume office, I was thinking it's something that they would take hook, like, and sinker and make sure they will penetrate it. The regionalized security outfit we have in the Southwest, you can see the collaboration they are having in some areas with the law enforcement agency, and the governors are actually, because we need to have it to the grassroots. When a stranger comes in, and I will still say, some of the thing that happened in Ibadan yesterday is part of security lapses. Yeah. If you have community policing, people should be able to identify that somebody is actually putting, explosive in a particular area. But the situation where you want to report and the police you are reporting to needs to get to the organ at the top before certain action have been done. So we must come down to the bottom line and make things open.
Let's quickly, because we have time constraints, let's quickly throw in the Punch newspapers this morning and see what stories that we can find. It says the anti-kidnapping protest holds in Abuja today as 10 suspects are arrested. Tinubu vows to crack down on kidnappers, agents of darkness. Abductors kill hotel barman. Sad, really sad. Also, federal government saves 8 trillion naira from subsidy removal. Forex reform, says the Tinubu panel. Refinery, Dangote investors gain 1.2 trillion naira. Naira plunges to 1,300 naira to the dollar at the parallel market. And of course, many fear dead as massive explosion rocks Ibadan. All right, so I think you can just speak at will, any of them that you think you'd like to speak on. Is it the 8 trillion we've saved from subsidy? Or is it the naira, of course, fainting and collapsing once again to 1,300 naira to the dollar?
Maybe we take the two together. You're having savings and you're having your naira depreciated. So you ask yourself, how do you balance that? We were thinking, we all, some of us applauded the decision of the president, you know, removing the subsidy, thinking that, and the first 2-3 months, we had about certain trillions were actually saved. Now we have about 8 trillion. What is the contribution of some of these savings to the development of our economy and infrastructure that we've been clamoring for? The only refinery we are actually hearing of is Port Harcourt coming up, you know, which has actually been in place before this administration. And the other one is private sector. I keep telling every individual, Dangote refinery is privately owned and it's not government owned. So you have a little dictate that you can give to him because he's a businessman. He can decide to produce those things and refuse to sell to us in the country and send to the neighboring because it's about him maximizing the profit and be able to. You can see the other story out there saying that Dangote shareholders enjoyed about 1.2, and that's within the shortest possible time of having the refinery started making the production. So for me, the government should be intentional about where we invest these funds that has actually been saved, knowing fully well that average Nigerian is actually going through agony because of the subsidy. If they are going to plow it back to make sure that 2 refinery comes to, or even 1, and we can feel the impact. We read in one of the headers too about 83 illegal refineries. We keep hearing the illegal refinery keeps springing up from 1 to 2 to 83, but we cannot succeed in having 1 legal refinery functioning. I don't know how you manage that particular thing. So if you have illegal refinery that people are actually producing, you know, the product from the crude oil theft that you have, how can you, one way or the other, look for this to enhance it? So when you have 83 illegal converted to legal, licensed, that on its own can contribute to the bottom line.
That's something certainly to look at. I mean, something we've been talking about for a while now.
Yeah, but each time you keep hearing that they want to demolish and destroy all those illegal refineries.
Sesan, thank you for joining us as always. It's always a delight to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right.